Imagine buying a cup of coffee for $1, then checking your bank account and seeing $10 appear. Not cashback, not a refund, not a reward program, real money. Now imagine buying a car, then becoming richer because you did. At first, it feels like the greatest miracle anyone could ever receive, until you realize someone else knows exactly how much money you're making, and they're willing to do anything to take it. The story begins. Seattle, Monday morning. The rain tapped softly against your apartment window as your alarm buzzed for the third time. Another workday, another commute, another paycheck that never seemed to last long enough. Your name is Ethan Carter, 28 years old. A customer support representative making just enough to survive but never enough to get ahead. Your tiny apartment overlooked a parking lot filled with cars worth more than everything you owned. You grabbed the last dollar from your kitchen counter. Literally, your last dollar. Enough for one small coffee before work. You smiled to yourself. Things have to get better eventually. Little did you know, they were about to change forever. You walked into the neighborhood coffee shop. The cashier smiled. Morning, one black coffee, the usual. She handed you the cup. You tapped your debit card. $1 approved. You thanked her and walked outside. Your phone vibrated. You expected a payment notification. Instead, it read, plus $10. You frowned. Huh? You opened your banking app. Yesterday's balance, $1.27. Today's balance, $10.27. You blinked. That wasn't right. You had just spent your last dollar, not gained 10. You refreshed the app. Still there, $10. You looked around the sidewalk. Nobody seemed to notice anything unusual. Maybe the bank made a mistake. You shrugged. Free money was nice, but surely it would disappear. You spent another dollar, this time, on a donut. The cashier handed it over. You stepped outside. Buzz, your phone vibrated again. Plus $10. Now your balance had increased again. You froze. No, that couldn't be happening. You walked into the nearest convenience store. You weren't smiling anymore. You were experimenting. A bottle of water. $1. Purchase complete. Buzz. Plus $10. You checked your balance. It had gone up again. You did the math in your head. Spend 1, gain 10. Profit? $9. Your heart started pounding. There was only one way to know for sure. You emptied your wallet buying snacks, candy, chips, soda, energy drinks. $20 gone. You rushed outside. Buzz, 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 buzz. Notification after notification filled your screen. Plus $10. Plus $10. Plus $10. Plus $10. Plus $10. By the time the notification stopped, your account had increased by almost $200. You leaned against a wall, laughing. Not because it was funny, because your brain refused to believe what your eyes were seeing. For the next week, you tested the impossible. Lunch, plus $10. Movie ticket, plus $10. Gas, plus $10. Groceries, plus $10. Every single purchase made you richer. No matter where you spent the money, no matter what you bought, every dollar returned as 10. Within a month, your life looked completely different. You paid off your credit cards. You replaced your broken laptop. You finally bought your mother the refrigerator she'd been putting off for years. But something strange happened. The more money you made, the less excited you became, because every morning, there was always one question waiting for you. What if it stops today? Then curiosity got the better of you. If $1 gave you 10, what would happen if you bought something expensive? You walked into a luxury car dealership. Rows of beautiful cars lined the showroom floor. A salesman approached with a smile. Looking for anything special? You pointed toward a black sports car. I'll take that one. The salesman laughed, then realized you weren't joking. 30 minutes later, you signed the paperwork. The price? $80,000. Your hands trembled as you pressed confirm payment. The dealership manager shook your hand. Congratulations. You barely heard him. Your phone vibrated once. Then again. Then again. Then it refused to stop vibrating. Notification after notification flooded the screen. Your bank balance climbed. $100,000, $300,000, $500,000, $800,000, until finally it stopped. $800,347.16. Your knees almost gave out. You had just made over $700,000 then by buying a car. That night, you couldn't sleep, not because you were excited, because you had realized something terrifying. There was no limit. If the power worked on an $80,000 car, what would happen? If you spent $1 million, you stared at the ceiling for hours, completely unaware that somewhere across the city, someone was staring at a computer screen, watching every transaction you made, watching your account grow, and whispering just 3 words. We found him. The next morning, Ethan woke up with one question echoing in his mind. If spending money makes me richer, what happens if I spend $1 million? It sounded crazy. Who spends $1 million just to see what happens? But then again, Who wakes up with a power that turns every dollar into 10? For the first time in years, Ethan didn't go to work. Instead, he called his manager. "I'm taking a personal day." His manager sighed. "You've already used your vacation days." "I know. I'll take it unpaid." He hung up before his manager could argue. Money wasn't his problem anymore. At least, that's what he thought. Over the next few weeks, his life transformed. He bought a beautiful house overlooking the Seattle waterfront. A sleek electric sports car, designer clothes, a private gym. Every purchase multiplied his fortune. Every dollar became 10. His bank balance climbed past 1 million, 5 million, 20 million, then $50 million. But something strange happened. The richer he became, the quieter he became. His old friends stopped inviting him out. Coworkers whispered when he walked into the office. His landlord suddenly became incredibly friendly. People who hadn't spoken to him in years started texting. "Hey, remember me? We should catch up. Can I ask you a favor?" Money hadn't changed Ethan. It had changed everyone around him. Then, the first real warning arrived. One evening, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. No caller ID. Only one message. "You should stop spending money." Ethan frowned. He deleted it. Probably a prank. 5 minutes later, another message. "We're trying to help you." His heartbeat slowed. How could anyone know? Nobody knew about the strange power. Not even his mother. He ignored it. The next morning, he visited a luxury watch boutique. One watch. $42,000. He smiled as he tapped his card. The familiar vibration hit his phone. Plus $420,000. Perfect. Still working. He walked outside and froze. Across the street, a black SUV was parked. The windows were completely tinted. Someone inside was watching him. The SUV slowly pulled away. That night, Ethan installed security cameras around his house. Motion sensors, smart locks, new alarms. He laughed at himself. "You're being paranoid." Then, at exactly 2:17 a.m., every security camera went offline. At the same time, the house fell completely silent. Ethan sat upright in bed. His phone buzzed. Another unknown message. "Nice house." He ran downstairs. Nobody. Nothing missing. The cameras came back online 30 seconds later, as if nothing had happened. From that day on, he stopped enjoying the money. He checked over his shoulder every time he left home. He changed his routes, changed his phone number, hired private security. But the messages never stopped. Sometimes they simply read, "We know where you are." Other times, they described places he'd visited only hours earlier. Someone was following him. Then came the biggest mistake of his life. He decided to disappear. He booked a private flight to Montana, bought a remote cabin in the mountains. No neighbors, no tourists, no attention. Surely, whoever was watching him would lose the trail. He paid nearly $3 million for the property. His balance exploded again. Nearly $30 million added overnight. But as he unpacked his bags, he heard tires crunching outside. 3 black SUVs stopped in front of the cabin. Doors opened. 6 people stepped out, all wearing identical black jackets. No logos, no badges. One older man smiled, almost politely. "We've been looking forward to meeting you." Ethan slowly backed toward the front door. "Who are you?" The man didn't answer. Instead, he looked directly at Ethan's phone, then smiled again. "We don't care about your money," he paused. "We care about your ability." Ethan's stomach dropped. Ability? They knew everything. The man took one step forward. "And now, we're going to find out where it came from." The 6 strangers stood perfectly still. None of them looked nervous. None of them reached for a weapon. They didn't need to. The older man smiled like he had all the time in the world. "You've been asking the wrong question." Ethan swallowed. "What do you mean?" The man stepped closer. "You've spent months wondering how your money multiplies." He paused. "You never asked where it comes from." For the first time, Ethan couldn't think of anything to say. The old man pulled a tablet from his jacket. One tap. A screen filled with names, photos, addresses, and bank balances. Thousands of them. Everyone highlighted in red. "What is this?" Ethan asked. The man turned the screen toward him. "These are the people funding your miracle." Ethan frowned. "I don't understand." The old man's voice became serious. "Every dollar you spend creates $10, but money doesn't appear from nowhere. It has to come from somewhere." The tablet zoomed in. A retired teacher, a single mother, a college student, a veteran. Small amounts disappeared from each account. $1 here, $3 there, $5 somewhere else. Millions of tiny withdrawals. So small, almost nobody noticed. Individually, they were meaningless. Together, they were creating Ethan's fortune. His stomach turned. "No, that's impossible." The man nodded. "Exactly. But impossible things don't follow human rules." Ethan's knees weakened. Every new car, every expensive dinner, every luxury purchase had quietly taken money from ordinary people. People who already had enough problems. He remembered his mother once telling him, "If something sounds too good to be true, someone else is paying the price." She had been right. The old man folded his hands. We've spent years looking for people like you. Some keep spending. They become billionaires. Entire economies collapse around them. Others stop. They disappear quietly. Ethan looked up. What happens if I stop? The old man answered immediately. The power dies, and every dollar you've taken returns. Silence. Wind moved gently through the pine trees surrounding the cabin. For the first time since the miracle began, Ethan looked at his bank account without excitement. Over $87 million, a number that had once seemed impossible. Now, it felt heavy. That night, he couldn't sleep. He imagined families checking empty bank accounts, parents wondering why they couldn't pay rent, students finding unexpected overdraft fees. Someone, somewhere, had paid for every dream he'd lived. Morning arrived. The sun rose over the mountains. Ethan sat quietly with a cup of coffee. The same drink. That had started everything. $1. One simple purchase. One impossible miracle. He opened his banking app. His finger hovered over the screen. A message appeared. Deactivate ability? Yes, no. He closed his eyes. He thought about the mansion, the cars, the watches, the vacations he'd planned. Then he thought about his mother, about the teacher, the veteran, the college student, the people he'd never meet. He pressed yes. Nothing happened. For 5 seconds, everything stayed perfectly still. Then his phone vibrated. Once, twice, again. The balance began falling. $87 million, $50 million, $20 million, $5 million, $500,000, $20,000, $2,000, until finally, it stopped. $1,284.16, almost exactly what Ethan had earned honestly over the previous month. Every extra dollar, gone. Across America, something incredible happened. Banks started receiving thousands of customer service calls. People couldn't explain it. Missing money had suddenly returned. One woman cried after discovering enough money had appeared to pay her overdue rent. A veteran smiled when an old medical bill was suddenly covered. A struggling college student found tuition money back in her account. Nobody understood why. They simply called it the Lucky Tuesday. 3 months later, Ethan was back at work. Same apartment, same coffee shop, same old sedan. Life looked ordinary again. But something inside him had changed forever. He smiled more. He worried less. He slept better. Because for the first time in months, everything he owned actually belonged to him. One rainy afternoon, the same cashier handed him his usual coffee. $1. Ethan smiled. He tapped his card. His phone buzzed. He laughed quietly. The cashier noticed. Good news? He looked at his screen. Minus $1. No bonus. No miracle. Just a normal purchase. Ethan slipped the phone into his pocket. You know, he said with a smile, I think that's the best notification I've ever received. Ending. Sometimes, the greatest blessing isn't getting everything you ever wanted. Sometimes, it's knowing that what you have didn't cost someone else everything. Because real wealth isn't measured by how much money sits in your bank account. It's measured by whether you can sleep peacefully, knowing how you earned it.